Hello and welcome everybody for a webinar on general myology. My dear students, we have finished general osteology, general orthology. Now today we will begin with general myology, and we will be dealing with general myology for almost say 2 to 3 episodes because we are going to study general part of myology instead of studying an individual muscle. At the outset, let me tell you that there are almost 640 muscles, I mean skeletal muscles in your body. 640 means almost 320 pairs because your body is in symmetry. 320 pairs of skeletal muscles. Skeletal muscle means bones which are attached to the skeleton. There are other muscles like smooth muscles. Even there is a muscle in a heart. Even there is a muscle in a uterus. So these muscles are extra. So 320 skeletal muscles on each side of your body, making 640 total skeletal muscles in the body. And that is why we have to have some basic knowledge about myology. So that is why I have chosen this topic for you today. Myology means study of muscles. Rather, we are going to study general myology today, and I'll try to, be more precise as far as your syllabus is concerned. Most of the time, a question is posed on some, muscle in your body like biceps brachii, or brachialis, or gluteus maximus, or quadriceps femoris, and sometimes the question is also asked like classification of muscle in your what you call MCQs, and that is why we have to have basic knowledge of general myology. Well, let us proceed further. You can see a body which is full of musculature. Okay, uh, because the skeleton moves with the help of these muscles at the at the orders of uh, your central nervous system. Harshada Mahale, आवाज बंद कर. What is definition of what is this derivation of name actually means here? That means how the name of muscle has been derived. Okay, it comes from Latin word mus, mus, and mus means mouse in English. Mouse means rat. Okay, common name. The muscles are named because many of them resemble a mouse. So they look like mouse. Somehow they look like mouse with their tendons representing the tail. The muscles usually have a tendon and it looks like a tail of a mouse. You can verify this with this image. Just look at this image. Doesn't it look like a muscle now? This is a mouse. So you can see the tail which looks like a tendon, and there is a belly, and the muscle keeps on contracting and you keep on moving. So that is how the muscle name is derived. It's derived from word mus in Latin. So let us proceed further with our today's study regarding muscle, and that is definition. Always we proceed with the definition because I was talking about definition of bone, definition of cartilage. Bones and cartilages are they are special connective tissues. There are basic 4 tissues in our body: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, and then comes musculature tissue, muscular tissues rather. So muscle is a separate tissue, but it contracts, so we call it as a contractile tissue. So in short, muscle is a contractile tissue which brings about movements in your body, in our body, or in the body. So muscle is a contractile tissue which brings about movements in the body. This becomes your short and sweet definition. Muscle can be regarded as the motors of the body. Motors means because your body moves with the help of muscles. So motors of the body. Don't forget this small definition, okay? No, but don't call this as a connective tissue. Connective tissues are different. This is a separate tissue. Muscle itself is a tissue, basic tissue, but it's a contractile tissue for the purpose of movement. You can see her image here is shown here. trying to show you the contraction of these muscles of this hand, especially the biceps is shown in a contraction, in a contraction. Rather, you can see in this, a real picture of a man where the muscle has been contracted, and this is a contraction of biceps brachii muscle, which is present in the arm. And doesn't it look like a mouse? Okay, and you can see different muscles also, they are also looking like a mouse. So here, this is a best example is a biceps brachii muscle. Okay, now let us proceed further with the study of general myology, and we have to now understand different types of muscles. What are the different types of muscles which are available in your body? Basically, the muscles are of three main types, main types. But there is one more, which is called as myoepithelial cells, which is also considered as sometimes as fourth type. So in all, if you say there are four types of muscle, your answer is correct, provided that you name those four types. Okay. And if you say there are three types of muscle, then also your answer is correct, because there are three major types of muscle. In all, there are four, but in major, there are three types of muscle. If you see, look at this, GIF, it shows that there are three types of muscle. And the first goes is a stomach, second goes is a heart, and third goes is a muscle of the limb. Heart is a smooth muscle. Heart is a cardiac muscle. Stomach is a smooth muscle, has a smooth muscle rather, and upper limb has got a skeletal muscle. So this picture shows you three types, but I'm talking about four types, and four types also you should know. As a student of anatomy, you should know four types. But see that there are three major types. So both the answers are correct, provided that you give the names of these three types. Now here I can show you the three major types of muscles in the body. The first major type is a skeletal muscle. This is called as skeletal muscle because it is attached to the skeleton. Okay, they are the major muscles, or the what you call the bulk of the body is made up of these muscles, and these skeletal muscles are almost 640 in the total number. That means 320 pairs, because they are present on each side of the body. And next muscle is cardiac muscle shown here. Only one muscle, and that muscle is of heart, muscle of heart, you can say. Okay, muscle of heart is a cardiac muscle, and next muscle is smooth muscle. Somebody was disturbing me, so I removed her. Third type of muscle is smooth muscle, and smooth muscles are present in the viscera. Viscera means organs. Now here you can see one organ, stomach, and this is a smooth muscle of stomach. You see the muscle cells, myocytes, they are spindle shape. Here you can see the muscle cells which are elongated, but they are branched and they are having intercalated disc. And here you can see the cylindrical long muscle cells which are of the skeletal muscle. So these are the three major types. But I am talking about fourth type also. Fourth type, okay? And the fourth type is myoepithelial cells. So altogether there are four types of cells overall in all, and the major muscle is a major group is skeletal muscles. Next group, now they are in groups, there are many. Smooth muscles are also many because you can't find a number. And cardiac muscle is only one because there is only one heart, and that is myocardium. And epithelial muscles are also many because they are present in the secretory glands. There are so many glands. Then gland secretion has to be pumped out. For the pumping, the motor action is required, and there is epithelium. They are singly present. So it is called as myoepithelial cells. So myo word is important. They are the epithelial part of epithelium, but they are having myo, nature. So they are included in muscles. The characters of each types of muscle has to be understood in detail. So we'll proceed further. And I'll begin with the skeletal muscle study. Okay, skeletal muscle study begins with the synonyms of skeletal muscles. Skeletal muscles are also called as striped muscles. Striped muscle means STRIP, stripe manje patta, okay, bands like patteri. Striated means also same. There are lines. So they are also called as striped. They are also called as striated. They are also called as somatic. Somatic means which are of the body. Okay, somatic. And or voluntary muscle. Voluntary muscles means which work at the will of the person. So they don't function automatically. The person has to use them at the will. So that means there are so many names for skeletal muscles. Skeletal muscles are also called as striped. They are also called as striated. They are also called as somatic, and they are also called as voluntary. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and fifth name is skeletal muscles. But the common name is a skeletal muscle. Don't forget this. Let's proceed a little further. I'm showing you an image of a human body musculature, the front view and the back view. You can see the lots of muscles are shown here in this image. Frontalis, trapezius, deltoid, pectoralis major, triceps brachii, biceps brachii, latissimus dorsi, abdominal muscles. Here they are shown, external obliquus abdominis, and so on. Muscle of the buttock, gluteus maximus, sartorius, biceps femoris, rectus femoris, gastrocnemius, Achilles tendon or tendo Achilles. Many of them are there. I told you there are 320 pairs or 640 skeletal muscle. Here there is one image in front of you. This image belongs to skeletal muscle. In your histology, you have to identify certain slides. So I told you this histology of bone, compact bone, or histology of muscle. This is our histology of cartilage. You have to study it separately. It's required for physiology also. Now, skeletal muscle characteristics which we'll try to study. Okay. Now, skeletal muscles are more abundant and found attached to skeleton. Sorry. That means amongst all three types or four types, 3 to 4 types. So I told you why there are 3 or 4. These muscles are more abundant. Abundant means too many. The body is almost made up of this skeletal muscle, and they are attached to the skeleton. That means they origin and they insert, or either origin or insert. Okay, so that means it has to attach to the bones of the body. They exhibit cross striations under microscope. Now this is my histological structure, and are considered to be the best differential form of muscle. So amongst all the muscles, these are differentiated as a muscle, as a best differentiated as compared to smooth muscles or cardiac muscle. Well, what is the third characteristic now? These skeletal muscles are supplied by somatic nerves. Somatic nerves, because so opposite to somatic is autonomic. Autonomic means automatic. So we'll talk about autonomic nervous system some other day. Somatic nervous system is voluntary nervous system, and therefore are under voluntary control with certain exceptions. So there are exceptions also, but they are mostly under voluntary control because they are supplied by somatic cerebrospinal nerves. These skeletal muscles respond quickly to stimuli, being capable of rapid contraction. So they have a capacity of going into rapid contractions, and therefore they get fatigued easily. Now suppose if you go to a jungle, and in the jungle if you see a tiger all of a sudden in front of you, and then you get frightened and you start running fast to reach your home, and because of fear and care of your life, okay, you run so fast, the time you reach your home, most of the muscles they get tired. That means you want to lie somewhere, and that is called as fatigue. And stimuli means that fear of a tiger. This is how these muscles, and here the person is commanding himself to run away and get rid of this tiger. So they are voluntary. Okay. This skeletal muscle help in adjusting to individual to external environment. External environment means environment outside the body, like temperature. Wherever you go to the cold place, you go to the hot place. This muscle help you in adjusting to the external environment by contraction. These muscles are also under highest nervous control of cerebral cortex, and each muscle fiber is multinucleated cylindrical cell. So if you take one cell of skeletal muscle, it is cylindrical, elongated, and they are multinucleated, means that more than one nucleus is present, and they contain groups of myofibrils inside these myocytes, one cell. Myofibrils are made up of myofilaments, and myofilaments of three types: myosin, actin, and tropomyosin. And these are the actual contractile elements which are present in the muscle. For example, we give muscles of limbs and muscles of body wall and branchial muscles as the examples of skeletal muscle. So muscles of limbs means upper limb, lower limb. Body wall means, thorax, abdomen, front side, back side, lateral side, whatsoever. And branchial muscles means muscles here present around the face and your neck. I told you during the time of study of embryology, branchial arches. Here you can see in this figure, lots of skeletal muscles are shown here. You should be able to name every muscle when you finish the study of regional anatomy later on. For that purpose of understanding regional anatomy, you should know general anatomy of myology first. And in this image, you can see human musculature shown in different styles and poses and different parts of the body. Lots of muscle. Okay, and the time will come then where you will be able to count the number of muscles in a particular region. For example, if I talk about muscles of the arm, I know that there are only 4 muscles in the arm. 3 muscles in the anterior compartment and 1 muscle in the posterior compartment. 3 muscles in anterior compartment: biceps brachii, brachialis, and coracobrachialis. Whereas in posterior compartment, there is only triceps brachii. So altogether in arm, there are 4 muscles. Likewise, you have to proceed with every part, every region of the body. There are 20 muscles in the forearm. I know those. You'll be able to study all these muscles when you go for a study of a particular part of particular region of the body. And before that, you should have this general anatomy knowledge of muscles. Now we'll go to second type of muscle. Second type of the muscle is a smooth muscle. Smooth muscles are also called as plain muscles. Plain muscles because they do not have stripes, so unstriped also. They do not have striations, so non-striated. They are visceral because they are not attached to the skeleton, and they are involuntary muscle because they are under the control of autonomic nervous system, not under the somatic. So totally opposite of skeletal muscle means smooth muscle. So you should know skeletal muscle properly, then you will know smooth muscles also. Here I am showing one example of smooth muscle through this picture of stomach. Stomach, wall has been dissected further to show you the muscular layer of the stomach. It is called a tunica muscularis, and this muscular layer will have a smooth muscle cells, and those are looking like a spindles. You can see they are looking like a spindle, and they are having, each of them are having only one nucleus, so they are not multinucleated. So these are the differences between skeletal muscle and smooth muscle. You can see a stomach shown in a histological slide of a smooth muscle. Now we'll see the characteristic. These muscles are often encircling or surrounding the viscera. Wherever there is an organ, and there you'll find this smooth muscle. They encircle or surround the viscera. Okay, they do not exhibit cross striations under microscope, and because they are plain and smooth in form, so they are called as smooth muscles. They are supplied by autonomic nervous system, and therefore they are not under the voluntary control. They are working involuntarily depending upon the internal environment. They respond slowly to the stimuli, slowly, not fast like skeletal muscles. Skeletal muscles, they work fast. These smooth muscles, they work slowly to the stimuli, being capable of sustained contraction. So they are going in a sustained contraction, and therefore they do not fatigue easily. So if you go for sit-ups उठापेक्षा तुम्ही काढले ना थोड्या वेळाने तुम्ही दमता. So that is called as a fatigue. So this is not so in case of smooth muscle because they are uh, you know uh, going in sustained contractions and so they do not fatigue easily. Fatigue हा शब्द लक्षात ठेवा. They provide motor power for regulating the internal environment. Now skeletal muscles are for external environment and these muscles and these smooth muscles have an internal environment. Internal environment means inside the body, which are related to digestion, circulation, secretion, excretion, and so on. And the next is this smooth muscles are less dependent on nervous control, being capable of contracting automatically or spontaneously and often rhythmically. This is their typical characteristic. And each muscle fiber is an elongated spindle-shaped cell with a single nucleus placed centrally. The myofibrils show longitudinal striation, no cross striation. And the examples of smooth muscles are, of course, muscles of the blood vessel. So there are so many arteries in your body, so they are having smooth muscle. There are so many viscera in your body, stomach, intestine, large intestine, many of them. And also in the skin, arrector pili muscle of the skin is also smooth muscle, which is involuntary in function. Okay, so here you see one example of smooth muscle in the artery. Artery has got a muscular layer or muscularis layer, we call it as tunica muscularis, and this is a smooth muscle of the artery. And stomachs have got a muscularis layer, and those are also smooth muscles I showed in the earlier picture. And muscle requires contraction, and that is called as peristalsis, and peristalsis takes place because of this smooth muscle, and that it takes place voluntarily after eating something whenever it is required for the churning and movement of the bowels. Well, now the last major example of the muscles is a cardiac muscle. It forms myocardium of the heart. That means it is available only in the heart, and this is single muscle, only heart, nowhere else. And myocardium is a layer of the heart. Like, okay, myocardium inside is endocardium. Okay, outside is a pericardium, and middle there is a myocardium. So myocardium means muscle of heart. So it is called as cardiac muscle. It is intermediate in structure. Now it is intermediate means it is between skeletal and smooth muscle. So some characteristics of skeletal and some of smooth it carries because it is having striations. So just like skeletal muscle, and at the same time it is involuntary like smooth muscle. So it is intermediate in structure. It is made for automatic and rhythmic contraction. Automatic means involuntary. Heart keeps on beating involuntary, and rhythmic means in a typical rhythm. In heartbeats, you know how they beat, how the heart beats. Each muscle fiber is having a single nucleus placed centrally. Now, skeletal muscles are multinucleated, smooth muscle are uninucleated, and these are also uninucleated. And then the next is it branches and anastomosis with the neighboring fibers. So the typical characteristic of cardiac muscle is that this muscle fibers, they branch and they anastomosis with other neighboring fiber at intercalated disc, opposite cell membranes, and the cross striations are less prominent than those in the skeletal muscles. So these are the characteristics of cardiac muscle, and here you can see a heart. Heart is brownish in color because of that myocardium. So in myocardium is a middle layer and it's a thick layer. The heart is a muscular organ. Okay, remember, heart is a muscular organ because it has to keep on contracting since its inception till the person dies. The contraction goes on, for 24 hours and 7 weeks and 365 days in a whole life. It doesn't stop at all, and that is why it is provided a branching pattern. So if the muscle muscle fiber goes in fatigue, the other will take the responsibility. Okay, and here you can see a histological picture of cardiac muscle. And the last, which I told you, fourth type is a myoepithelial cells. These are present at the basis of the secretory acini of gland. Glands means salivary glands, sweat glands. There are many other glands, endocrine glands, exocrine glands. Wherever there is a acini, Acini means secretory unit of the gland. It is having at the base one type of muscle, that is myoepithelial cell, and these myoepithelial help in expulsion of the secretion from the acini. So whatever is secreted, it is pushed out. So they are very small, and that is why you can count this as the fourth type. Here you can see a salivary gland, parotid gland, subglandular gland, submedullary gland, and here you can see the excretory duct, and here you can see different acini. Lumen of the acini is shown here, and this is having myoepithelial cells on the you can see this area here. You can see myoepithelial cells. Because they expel the secretion into the lumen, and it will come out through excretory duct. And this is all about uh, uh, fourth type of muscle, that is myoepithelial cells. But broadly, you should remember there are three types of major muscles, and these three types of muscles are skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, and cardiac muscle. You can see cardiac muscle here. It is having a branching pattern and intercalated disc. One gets anastomosis with other, and only one nucleus is in one muscle fiber. Here you can see the multinucleated skeletal muscle cell, and here you can see a smooth muscle spindle cell with one nucleus. At least this much of information you should have. These two are striated. You can see the striations, and this is not striated, though it has got a elongate, longitudinal striations which are very faint. There are many other characteristics which we will study in detail from tomorrow onwards. This mostly I'll take you for a next part of study of myology. Tomorrow itself, we'll try to study more about skeletal muscles. The cardiac muscle is only heart, and smooth muscles are they are unnamed muscles which are present in different viscera. So there is no much study required for those muscles. But for skeletal muscles, we required study in detail, and that we will carry out tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And today we'll take a break because this is the appropriate time to take a break. And let me come to you for question and answers after the end of this presentation. I hope you understood the basic general myology in detail. Myology means study of muscles, and there are muscles are the what you call contractile tissues, and these muscles are of three types, three major types: skeletal muscles, smooth muscles, and cardiac muscle. But there is a fourth type also, and that type is called as myoepithelial cells, which are present in acini secretory glands. And I told you different characteristics or features of these 3 and 4 types of muscles which we studied today. And my dear students, I think that I should end with today's presentation over here. Thank you. Thanks a lot, and see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Till then, bye. Have a nice day.